So, this is the first day of our Hosea retreat. I was deciding between an Ignatian retreat with Elsbeth or a Hosea Bride of Christ retreat. And since I didn't have any money and the Hosea one was free, I decided to go to the Hosea one. Gretchen Gardose was the one who took me, and what happened was, let's see, I came from my aunt's house in Alabang. I didn't have proper shoes. I was in slippers. So, I decided to buy, well, I had 100 pesos. It was the Palengke. It's a really cheap market. I decided to buy shoes for myself just to look decent for the retreat. So I bought a 100 peso pair of shoes and I went to the retreat. During the retreat, the Pastor Eman, was talking about how his life and his struggles, how he was a squatter boy who had to live in the not in the streets, but his dad left their family because he was a drunkard, and then his mom had to work all the time. He had to work. Eventually, he had succumbed to male prostitution, and he felt so much shame and grief and anger that God would allow so much suffering in his life. And he had so much pain. And he had so much, sin, that he felt so far away from God. And he was still so angry. Even if he was a pastor and he wanted to make amends, he was still so angry. He still felt the pain and the anger. And while he was sharing this, I was overcome with love. I don't know where it came from, but I had to hug him. And I hugged him, and I told him, "I'm sorry, anak, I'm sorry." Which means, "I'm sorry, my son." And I was crying, and I wanted to cleanse him and love him so fully until all the pain went away. And it was so overpowering that I went on my knees and I said, I'm sorry, my child, I'm sorry, anak, I'm sorry, anak." And I was crying, and he was holding me also, and we both cried, and we both released the negative, I think. I don't know what happened, but anyway, when I came to her, when I was normal, not that I'm not in control, I'm totally in control, it's just that I'm letting it be, letting it happen. So what happened was, he felt so much better that in the next retreats after that, he's never quite as angsty because he's been healed. And when I looked down on my shoes as he was telling his story, my shoes were 2 inches or an inch, like this much, too big. But when I wore it, when I went to the market, it seemed like the right size. And now when I looked, it was too big. And he said that as a child, he had dreamed of owning a pair of shoes. And so I took off my shoes and I said, "You know what, Pastor, I think this is for you." And, when he got it, he started crying because he knew that it was a gift from God. And, that was my first encounter with how God works in our lives. Like, he just puts us in the right place at the right time to do the right thing, to help other people. And it's not about whose fault it is. If you think about it, it's like, I didn't mess up his life, that's not my fault. It doesn't matter. What matters is you're in front of him right now, and you're given this chance to heal his wounds, and you're given this chance to be the light. And that's what matters in this world, because when a push comes to shove, we're just here to help each other. So, and that is actually the key to happiness, because like in America especially, you're taught to want things, so that you get to work hard, and then by doing so you achieve happiness. But the truth is, all you have to do is give, is to love, and in so doing you will receive a higher quality of happiness, because having is a fulfillment of fear. It's a lower desire. It's like you're covering up a hole, whereas giving is the fulfillment of a mountain, which is higher. It's like the fullness. Besides, we are all not just animal, but we are spiritual, and by being spiritual, we need to be satisfied spiritually. Just as our body needs food, our spirit needs food, and our spirit is happiest when it can be connected with all life, with goodness. But I'm ranting. Anyway, back to the point. The point is, so that was the first experience during the recollection. I'll cut it so that you can, so this is just 6 minutes.